All right, tonight we are in chapter 3. I just want to remind everyone that when the week opens, all of the assignments open. So you have a window to turn things in. So, for example, week 2 is open today. Please remember you have a midterm test on Thursday, but technically the midterm is open now if you wanted to do it. Um, all of the assignments that are due this week, the window is open from today until Sunday. So even if you wanted to, for example, do Wednesday's assignment today because maybe you're going out of town or something, technically you could, or you can do Wednesday's assignment on Saturday, as long as whatever assignments that you have for the week, they're all turned in by Sunday. So I just wanted to make that announcement again for anybody that didn't get it. I've turned back all of week one's work unless it got turned in after 9 o'clock yesterday or so. Please check your grades, specifically your career plan grade and your resume keywords grade. I may have given you, if you didn't get your full points, then I left a comment there for you to check your assignment and to make any adjustments if you want to. All right, and then I'll regrade it. So tonight we're going to talk about personal brand. What I said to us last week is if you have a resume, right? The reason why it's important to have that summary, excuse me, at the top of your resume is because what we're going to do this week is use a portion of that summary to create your personal brand statement and your personal commercial. So if you ask the question, what is a personal brand statement? What is that? Well, you first have to even take a step back and to think about your career, right? You are in control of your career. No one is going to say, hey, let me help you plan out your career. Let me give you a roadmap to success. Your career is going to be unique to you. If you look at if you look at Microsoft, right, or Dell or whoever, right, they all started out in a computer science program. One person decided to go work for a corporate company. Somebody else, like Steve Jobs, decided to start his own business. So everybody that is in a program will have different roads. Some people decide to become subject matter experts. Some people decide to become business owners. Some people decide to work in corporate America and work their way up to the top. Like some people decide to be consultants, right? So you have to figure out what is it that I'm going to do with my career. Like you have to create the plan, and everybody's plan will be different. Part of creating that plan is deciding what your personal brand is going to be, right? If you're in the electrical program, it's more than that. Are you going to specialize in low voltage, high voltage? Are you going to specialize in some other form of, electrical? Maybe you decide you're going to go work with, in the computer science data entry. You see they're putting up all these data centers and they need a lot of electricians to help with those projects. Are you going to work for the government and do government contracting? Are you going to start your own business? Like you still have to figure that out. And then once you figure that out, even if it's I'm just going to go work for someone, you know, you've decided that you want to go work for like a major chain, right? Let's say you want to work for the utilities company. You still have to figure out what your brand is going to be, because how is your career going to progress? Are you going to be, I'm just going to try to be really, really good, like the best electrician ever, and then work my way up to the top to be a supervisor, manager, director? Or are you going to say, I'm going to specialize in commercial buildings and see if I can get on to different projects with the utilities to be, a specialist in that. Whatever it is, you're going to have to build that brand, because a lot of career people, we don't get our jobs just from looking at Indeed.com. A lot of us get our jobs based on referrals because we've built brands to where people will say, "Hey, Cynthia, I have this position, I have this opportunity, and I think you would be great for it." And that's because we build our brand. So you need to think through like what kind of brand do you want to have? Because at the end of the day, that brand it's going to factor in a lot of different things. One of it, some of your brand is going to be based on how you just work, labels people give you. But ideally, you want to be the person that drives that brand. Your authenticity. You want your brand to be, relevant to you. It needs to be different from the next person, right? Even if it's five electricians, you still want to figure out what type of electrician am I, and what would make someone want to hire me over the next person. So, when you're thinking about your personal brand, most people use this personal brand to create like a personal brand statement. You can think of it like a logo, and they put it on their social media platforms. They put it in different, cover letters or different places that people will see them, and it tells people about what they're about. So your personal brand statement is typically like one little sentence. And when we get into LinkedIn and you see where you can put this sentence, sometimes people call it a tagline. It kind of lets people know, what type of professional you are. That's where, you start to showcase yourself. If you say, well, how do I create a brand statement? Well, one, if you have your resume done already and you have that summary or that qualifications or profile, however you titled it on your resume, normally that first sentence in that summary basically is your personal brand statement. But if you don't even have that, most times people start with their hard and soft skills. If you go back to week 1 and I've asked you to think about, okay, what's a skill that's unique to me? What sets me apart? What kind of hard skills and technical skills do I think I have? The reason why I wanted you to do that exercise is because now if you think back to what you've identified about yourself, now you want to think about how do I put that into a one sentence statement about who I am and what I want to say about myself. So in chapter 3, it says, again, you take this statement and you put it on resumes, cover letters, social media platforms, wherever you want to put it. Well, here are some examples, and then I'll show you how to extract it from that summary. Here's people have said, and you can see they come from all different walks of life. One says that this person was a creative problem solver who can combine mathematical skills and science expertise. Another one says that they are a writer who's able to blend communication and critical thinking skills. And you notice here has some technical and some hard and some soft skills. A driven team player, there's that soft skill, who uses leadership skills to motivate and exceed goals, probably somebody in a director level. This person says that they're a customer service professional with excellent communication skills. A product development coordinator with impeccable time management. These sentences look a lot like that first sentence in a summary or qualifications section on your resume. And a lot of people use these as their personal brand statements. I'm going to show you really, does that make sense, Robert? I can actually even show you how you can create a personal brand statement just using Google. Um, if you go to like Google and that makes sense? Okay. Do you want me to show you how to do it with Google, or does that make sense? Like if you don't, you want me to show you? Yeah. Okay. So for example, let me just get X out of here really quickly. And what I tell people, if you don't have your resume, because you will be doing a personal brand statement for your attendance tonight. So that's why I want to make it really easy, so you don't spend a lot of time on it. I'm just going to Google, then I'll come back up. So let me share my screen. So all you would have to do, let's say you don't have a summary on your resume yet, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I create this personal brand statement that Miss Taylor wants me to do? All you have to do is go here where it says AI mode and Google. I mean, technically, you don't even have to do that because it'll automatically go to AI mode if you put it in here. But I just like to go to AI mode. And I just want to create a personal brand statement. I need one sentence that describes myself. So I'm going to tell it, this is called prompting. I'm going to prompt the AI and I'm going to tell it, create a personal brand statement for an electrical technician. And I'm going to say focus on, um, let's say you want to talk about you are being a good, let's say, team player, because we want to put some, and this is where you would get those soft skills, that you've seen from those job postings. That's why I wanted you guys to do that exercise. So let's say you've seen team player a lot. And let's say team player, and I'm going to say critical thinking. And let's just start with that. Create a personal brand statement for electrical technician. Focus on team planning, critical thinking as skills. And let's just see. Right here, what does it say? It says a dedicated electrical technician blending advanced technical troubleshooting with a collaborative mindset to solve complex power challenges. Now here, I feel like it's a little too wordy. I only wanted one sentence. So I'm going to prompt it again and say, shorten to only one sentence, right? And this is where AI comes in because you're telling it what to do. And see, look at what it did. A critical thinking electrical technician dedicated to solving complex technical challenges through collaborative troubleshooting and a strong team-oriented approach. Isn't that nice? So let's say, I really don't want critical thinking. You can want whatever you want and it'll rewrite it for you. And there you have your personal brand statement in like 2 minutes. So you can put whatever skills you want to have, you want to focus on about yourself, you tell it to do it, and then you tell it to write you a personal brand statement. Easy enough? So that's what you're going to do for your participation assignment tonight. You're going to do that and make sure you get your participation. Sounds good. Now, let's pretend we have our personal brand statement, whether you use this one or you use one from your resume. I don't know if you guys have gotten those back yet. If you already have it and you just want to use the first sentence from your resume, you can do that too. But I just wanted to show you how you can create one yourself quickly. Now, once you have your personal brand statement, the second thing you're going to do tonight is create a commercial. What's a commercial for? Well, a personal brand statement is good when you want to put things on LinkedIn or social media, when you want to write something out. But part of building out your career is also your ability to network. Like I said before, most people get their jobs from networking. You'll see when we talk about networking in week 3 that over 70% of positions are filled from people that know people, truly and honestly. So that means that we're getting the leftover stuff that they couldn't fill. That's what you're seeing on Indeed.com and LinkedIn, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you know somebody and you have a reputation, I would much prefer someone giving me a shout out saying, hey, I know of a job that you'd be great for. Or even if I'm connected to them on LinkedIn and I see an opportunity and they want to pass it along to me because we're connected. But to start that process, because all people starting out in college have to go through this, they have to learn to build their network. So if you're talking to strangers, oftentimes you have to introduce yourself, and a lot of people like, okay, well, how do I even start this conversation of networking and introducing myself and all those different things? We say start with a personal commercial. Well, how do you build a personal commercial? You start with your personal brand statement, right? So you already, or you can start with your statement, or you can even use the summary from your resume again, because with the commercial, you're actually going to add a little bit more. But where do you want to use this personal commercial? You want to use it anywhere, like you can use it in airports. Some people call it an elevator pitch, because back in the day when you wanted to talk to the big boss, the only way to catch his attention is in the elevator. So you had to be really, really quick and say, hey, boss, I wanted to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. And I think I'd be a good fit. You mind if I spend a couple minutes with you talking about it, right? That was like back in the olden days. That's the only way you can meet the big bosses in the elevator. So they called it an elevator pitch. But honestly, meeting people, whether it's even on LinkedIn, a lot of people DM people on LinkedIn. That's the only professional place where DMs are good. People expect you to reach out to them, and you can use this personal commercial to say, hey, I'm Cynthia Taylor. I just recently graduated from the electrical program. I really love to talk to you more about, a job you guys had advertised. People do that all the time. But even if you're not in an elevator or on LinkedIn, let's say you're at a conference, or you're at an airport, or you're in the Golden Corral line and you happen to see somebody with a shirt on at a company that you want to work for. How do you start to network? You use a personal commercial. So, how do you create this commercial? Most people start with that personal brand statement I just showed you, right? So you have this statement. Now, what you want to do, maybe you want to talk a little bit more about your skills, and then you want to get it right into why you're talking to them, because they're strangers and everybody's going to be like, hey, what's up with this dude? What's up with this person? Why are they talking to me, right? So after you introduce yourself by adding your name before you say your statement, going into your statement, you'll have to change it a little bit. Tell the person a little bit about what you do, and then tell them why you're talking to them. All of that you can do within 30 seconds flat. So what does that look like? It looks a little bit something like this. um I see that didn't. Let me go back. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if you see here on the left-hand side, that's that personal brand statement. Here's an example of one, something we can just create from Google, get from your resume. A marketing professional who is dedicated to creating jaw-dropping promotions, right? If you notice something, it starts with A, right? You notice that it starts with A marketing. Let Jimmy in. And that's how most of those statements start. But then what? How do you translate this into a commercial? Well, this person her name happens to be Susan. So when she is putting this personal brand statement on her LinkedIn profile or wherever, this goes right up under her name, right? So she doesn't have to be like, hey, I'm Susan. But when she's getting ready to introduce herself to someone, obviously you're going to start with your name. So she started with, hi, I'm Susan Rakowski. Um, an assistant marketing product manager, right? So she gives her name with a degree in marketing communications. You can say that if you want. You could just say, hey, hi, I'm Cynthia Taylor. I'm an electrical technician. I recently graduated from STC, right? You can say that. She goes on to say she's located in Greater Houston. That may or may not be relevant, depending on who you're talking to. And then she says her skills include writing and capturing attention. You may say something like, hi, my name is Cynthia Taylor. I am a electrical technician. I recently graduated from STC. I am looking to focus my career on low voltage electrical work, right? Whatever you want to say about yourself. Or I've done a lot of project management in the past, and I'm looking to focus on low voltage work. Why would you say that? Maybe this is a person that works at a company and you saw that they had a job on low voltage, right? So you want to qualify yourself, which is all what you're really doing with that personal commercial. You're stating your name and you go into qualifying yourself before you tell them what you want. How do you qualify yourself? Tell them what you do. I'm an electrical technician. You can say whether you went to school or not. Tell them what your skill set is. I have a background in this. I focus on that. I'm looking to get into this, and then get into what you want from that person, right? I saw you guys had an advertisement. I see you just got finished doing a speaking at the conference. So whatever it is you want from a person, whatever hypothetical situation you may be in, it doesn't matter the second half of what you want. The first half should always be the same in terms of my name, title, qualify myself with some type of soft or hard skill, and then tell the person what you want. That's important. Even if you're doing it, on LinkedIn, you see that you're linked to, because a lot of times what happens, let's say we're on LinkedIn and you guys are all linked to me. For example, I have probably 600 students I've taught this over the last couple years. And you see one of my students has their own business and you're like, ooh, um, I'm connected to Taylor, Miss Taylor, and I see that this Derek guy is looking for a person. I want to connect to this person. So you reach out to me, Miss Taylor, I see you have somebody you're connected to named Derek. You mind if we connect? I'm like, sure, I connect you. And you write a little commercial. Hey, I'm so and so. I graduated from STC. I'm looking to, work in low voltage. I see your company is looking for someone. You mind if I pass you my resume? Right? And that's what you do. So no matter what your ask is, start with with who you are, your title, some type of skill set, and then tell a person what you want. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So that's all you're doing. But the big thing is you have to practice, right? That's why we want you guys to practice, because nobody just walks around seeing this, normally, until you get used to it. You get used to networking, you get used to presenting yourself in that way. So what's going to happen, your assignment that you'll be doing will require you to do a personal commercial. So your attendance participation, you need to write that personal brand statement. But then your commercial, which is basically a couple of extra sentences where I'm asking you to write it out. On the assignment tab, if you've ever paid attention, you have the text, which you guys normally have been using. But that first tab is if you want to upload a file. The third tab, however, is if you want to record a video. So you can literally click on the video and just read your commercial. If you're brave enough, I would love for you to do it. If you're not comfortable doing it, just write it out and put it in the text. But I want you to create this personal commercial. Even if, just like I showed you, Robert, you can even put that in AI, right? So Jimmy, what I told Robert is, if you've never done a personal brand statement, which is just one sentence that you can use on like LinkedIn, you can use AI to do it. So I'm going to go back to that example on Google, right? Let me go back to this example, and then Jimmy can actually see how we did that personal brand statement on Google. So I'm back in Google, and the only thing we did, Jimmy, I said we need to create a personal brand statement for tonight. If you don't have your resume, if you have your resume, is literally the first sentence in your profile. But if you don't have that, you can actually give Google a prompt. Here we put create a personal brand statement for an electrical technician, and then you personally tell it what you want to focus on. I gave the example, talk about team player and critical thinking. You may say, well, I have project management. You could say focus on project management and whatever else you want. That's how you make yours a little different. And then it created a personal brand statement for us. Your personal brand statement should only really be one sentence. So we gave it another prompt. We just told it right here to shorten to only one sentence. And then it gave us that one sentence that we're going to use for our participation. Now watch this. Now I'm going to tell it to write a commercial for me. So now I'm going to say, create a personal brand commercial. I'm just going to give it my name. My name is Cynthia Taylor. Let's see what it does. Oh, no. Sorry, it doesn't know it like that. So let me tell it elevator pitch. Okay, it's giving me too much. I'm going to say, well, actually, no, because I can just take that first top right here, right? Let's see what it, if you see that it's doing too much, that means I need to give it more specificity. So I'm going to say create elevator pitch, only one short paragraph with an ask to give them my card for a position they have advertised. Right? So with AI, you can prompt it to do whatever you want it to do. So let's see what it says. It says, "Hi, I'm Cynthia Taylor. I'm an electrical technician who specializes in combining critical thinking and team first approach to solve complex problem challenges." Where did they get that from? They got that from that personal brand statement because we had already created that. And you see, AI is smart enough to say to keep going with what you originally talked about. And you can keep this conversation going. You can think of AI. When you go into AI and you do these prompts, you can actually save them and you can come back and continue this conversation as much as you want with AI. That's the cool thing about it, right? So we had initially told it to create a personal brand statement, and that was really that first sentence. Now it's continuing on to write the commercial or the elevator pitch. Here, I told it to pretend that I saw a job and that I'm going to ask this person to take my card. So that's what it did. "Hi, I'm Cynthia Taylor, an electrical technician who specializes in combining critical thinking with a team first approach to solving complex power challenges. I saw your opening for X role and was immediately drawn to it because I thrive on diagnosing intricate faults with blah, blah, blah. I love to show you how my troubleshooting skills and collaborative mindset can minimize your downtime." If you think that's too wordy, you can tell it, "Please shorten. It's too wordy," right? I don't like that. "Hi, I'm Cynthia Taylor. I'm an electrical technician who specializes in using critical thinking and team-focused approach to solve complex technical issues. I'm very interested in your blank opening and would love to discuss how my troubleshooting skills can benefit your crew." You see that? What is this really about? This is really about you just, giving you some ideas, getting you comfortable with learning how to create these, one-liners, openers that you use when you're beginning to network. That's the cool thing about AI. A lot of times people are like, "Oh my God, how do I use AI?" And that's the real issue is knowing how to use AI to benefit you. This isn't cheating, right? This is enhancement. It's showing you how to use AI to help you, with whatever challenges you may have in your career. And this is a really easy thing to use AI for. So do you guys feel comfortable creating both a personal brand statement and a personal commercial? And you can use AI to do it. I'm totally fine with that. Any questions on that? Literally, you can do both assignments in like 5 minutes. Right? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this little fun 3-minute clip of these college students that are going to bump into the college president and in an elevator, right? Because that's what these things are known for. And we're going to watch them try to use their elevator pitch on the president. Let's see how they do. Just waiting to get my little. What? All right, let me stop it and see what happened to my. Come, my video is not. Uh-oh. Oh, something happened to my link. My link broke. 1 second. Let me put it back up. I love technology. This Alrighty. I could just show it, but of course I want to embed it properly. All right. All right, there we go. All right, let me share. All right, let's watch these kids. How come my video's not playing? I knew it. Sound on. All right. I don't know why the video sound is not playing. So annoying. All right. Oh well. This is the elevator pitch is in your classroom. Forget it. I don't know why the sound is not working. I don't want to waste your time trying to fix it. So annoying. Actually, see now let's see if I can show you in the classroom. I'm just curious to see. It's right here in your classroom if you see it. Let me see if it plays this way. You guys still don't hear the sound, right? What in the world? That is so weird. It should be playing, but it's not. Sorry, guys. All right, forget it. So angry. Oh, well. All right. So anyway, that would have been a fun thing to watch them blab all over themselves, but I think you get the point. Let's go ahead and I kind of already gave you your assignments for today, but just so we can see it. It would have been a nice elevator pitch if it was doing its job, but it's not. So what is your participation question for tonight? You're going to write that personal brand statement. Typically, what do? Think about what you want to say about yourself, get 1 or 2 short or hard skills, come up with a statement, you write it out. Do that for your participation assignment. Like I said before, if you don't have your resume, just go to Google really quickly and craft one. And then for your homework, you're going to create a personal elevator pitch, a personal commercial. This one, obviously, you have all week to do. But like I said, if you just go ahead and knock it out on Google, you can do both of them and be done with it. Make sense, guys? Sorry for the technical glitch. Any questions? All good? All right, my friends, please make sure you guys do this. I know your campuses are watching your attendance, so I want you to make sure you get that attendance recorded for tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay? Have a great evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, sir. Bye-bye.